Greetings. I am Patricee Douglas, fondly known as Dr. Pat, and I am an ardent advocate for women's and girls' health and rights in Guyana, a country nestled in South America geographically, but is culturally Caribbean. My journey from being just a doctor to an advocate began when I worked in the obstetrics and gynecology department of the main referral hospital in my country. I had delivered a number of babies in my career, but never would I be so excited to deliver a baby when the mother would say to me, "Yes, doc, I planned this pregnancy." 80% of the women who would come to our department, whether they were in labor or had pregnancy complications, would say their pregnancies were not planned, it just happened. I began to do research and discovered that every year, 500,000 women die from complications of pregnancy, childbirth, and unsafe abortions, and that many of these deaths could be prevented by the use of family planning. I also found that my country has the second highest rate of adolescent pregnancy in the Caribbean and South America. This is so because family planning is not being used enough, for we have a contraceptive prevalence rate of only 34%. It was also found that the new cases of HIV infections mainly occurred in those 15 to 19 years old. One would imagine that comprehensive sexuality education would be on the forefront of the agenda. But sadly, that is not the case. And abstinence-only sexual health education is still being enforced in schools, and our young people are suffering because of it. I was left feeling frustrated and angry at the educational and health systems, for they were failing my people. Finally, a dear friend convinced me to stop talking about the issues and to do something about it. So I created a grassroots organization, SRHR Adventures, in my living room. I had no money, but I had a passion to promote family planning and contraception. So I created a Facebook page and began to share information. The page became popular. Persons reached out to me to facilitate sessions at local institutions. I recognized that I could not do this work by myself, and I needed others on board that shared my vision and my passion. So I recruited help. Our initial sessions were low budgeted. Monies came out of our pockets. We would literally facilitate sessions with nothing but a notebook and our voices. Despite using next to nothing for our sessions, the word spread and we began to do more. The thing is, when there's a need for something, people will come. Our sessions evolved into entire programs. Now we tackle taboo topics, we dismantle myths about contraception, and we create safe spaces for young people of all genders to talk about sex and all things sex-related. We promote the HPV vaccine, cervical cancer screening, and provide sanitary napkins for girls and women who cannot afford them. Our target audiences are women and adolescent females. However, men and boys are not left out of the conversation because we believe to do such would be counterproductive. Our budget is small, our programs are uncomplicated, but the impact we are making is enormous. Yes, the work is simple, but we are preventing diseases, fighting cancers, and saving lives. It was Steve Jobs who once said, "Those who are crazy enough to think they can change the world usually do." So if you have an idea, go after it relentlessly despite your current situation. Let your passion drive you. For I began in my living room, and today my organization is changing the future of Guyana. If I can do it, so can you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patricee. That is so inspiring to just stand up and own it and to say, if I can do it, you can do too. So what is the first step you took? You had this idea, you were in your living room. How did you make it happen? Let's talk to the audience.
So I use social media for good. Instead of minding people's business and scrolling down my timeline, I created a Facebook page and began to share information.
Yeah.
So social awareness.
Yeah. And I love that you said you used social media for good. because we all spend way too much time just scrolling through. So the idea that you could break through with social media was great. What were those first messages that really resonated with people? What got things going from there?
So, as I said before, in Guyana, we have a low contraceptive prevalence rate.
Yep.
People want to prevent pregnancy, but they're not using any form of birth control. It's not that our government does not provide family plan, because we do, but it's a socio-cultural issue whereby people feel if they use birth control, it can lead to cancer and infertility. So I use that platform to dismantle myths about the use of contraception.
Yeah. And do you find that the services are available in a way that's accessible for young women so that they can both prevent HIV and prevent pregnancy if they don't want to get pregnant?
It is available. It's not an accessibility issue. It's more of a cultural issue whereby people think they shouldn't be using family planning. And at our ministry, we promote dual protection with condoms to young people. So HIV prevention and pregnancy prevention by the use of condoms.
Yeah. Is there an acceptability of long-acting methods like implants or IUD for young women as well?
Definitely not young women. No young woman who isn't married would go for an IUD.
Wow.
That's out.
So that's a growth area because we see globally that IUDs are perfectly safe for young women.
It is.
It is. There's a myth that they're not safe, and maybe there's a bad history, but that was decades ago. And now we have the kinds of products that can be safely used by young women. Do you see there's potential for expanding that information so that young women can have methods that are really going to protect them from pregnancy for the longer time?
Definitely. So even though IUD may have a bad rap in younger folks, and we know why. However, the implant, many young girls are going towards the implant for long-term pregnancy prevention.
Yeah. You know, in the U.S., IUDs are one of the most popular methods for college-age girls, which is, I think, really encouraging. It's a sea change. Yeah. Great. Is there anything else that you think that we need to know about the political or the cultural situation in Guyana where we can partner with you to help make progress? In the Caribbean. We'll just make it broader.
We just simply, yes, in the Caribbean, we need comprehensive sexuality education in schools. We need to stop shying away from talking about sex. Definitely.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Thank you so much for being here. We're all inspired by your work. Thank you.